Hi everyone, I'm Angela Nixon from Cubewise UK. Today we're talking about planning for inflation using Apliqo UX. I'm going to take you through our demo, showing how you can dynamically flex your budgets based on a range of potential inflation rates and compare the results. So let's get started. So, in this demo, we're going to be acting as a finance administrator whose team is in the middle of finalizing our budget for the next year. Before receiving final approval, we've been asked to do two things. Firstly, to increase our conference costs, as we are now planning a larger one than previously expected. Also, due to the current uncertainty around inflation rates, we're to include a scenario analysis showing what effects high and low inflation rates would have on our numbers, so that our team doesn't need to update values in multiple places every time a change is made. We're taking advantage of Apliqo UX's business rules and design the scenarios to calculate their values from a linked budget in real time. This means if someone updates the budget or the inflation rates, our inflation scenarios will immediately reflect the new numbers. Step 1 is to start the next draft of the budget. In this case, it's draft 0.3. And we're going to pre-populate it from draft 0.2, then click on Run. This will start a process to set up our new budget draft and copy over our previous work. Now that's finished, we'll click on OK, and you can see our new budget draft has appeared in the list on the right. I'm going to close the old draft and add a note against the new one so we have a record of what changes are in which version. Moving on to the next step. We're now asked to update the currency exchange rates to be used in this budget draft. At the top, we have our input table. The bottom is a reference table. This lets us check what rates are being used in other versions. In this case, it's defaulting to actuals. Because we pre-populated from draft 0.2, the values are already filled out for us. But you can see it's currently using rates from December last year. Since we do have more recent exchange rates, I'm going to update these by copying and pasting from the reference table. In Apliqo UX, you can do this with both keyboard shortcuts and also the right-click menu. Now that's done, we'll move on to the inflation rate assumptions input page. This is important because it tells us which inflation rates users have assumed when predicting values for the next year in the base budget, i.e. before we do any scenario calculations. Again, because we've pre-populated from a previous draft, these numbers are already filled out, and in this case I'm only going to update one of them. Lastly, we're given a page where we can check the draft budget we've just created and even update it directly. So, since we know we need to update the conference costs, I'll do it right here. Now the next draft of our budget is finished. I'm going to go back to our landing page and start setting up the linked scenarios. This looks very similar to before. I'm going to go ahead and name the scenario. Next, instead of an option to pre-populate the values, we have to link the scenario to a budget version. We're going to pick the one we just created and click Run. This process will create both the low and high inflation scenarios for us. It's also going to set up the business rules that link these new scenarios to our chosen budget values. It's finished, so we'll click OK, and over here our new scenarios have appeared. Should we ever forget which budgets the scenarios are linked to, it's been recorded automatically for us in the scenario link column. Our next step is to enter the inflation rates for our scenarios. For convenience, we're showing the draft budgets rate here in the middle in blue. At the bottom left, we've also got some key values from the scenarios, such as the projected net profit. Watch as I input the inflation rate values I've prepared from off screen. You can see the business rules in action as the numbers immediately update. The widgets at the bottom are interactive, so I can, for example, check the values in USD or have the chart show me the net income comparison without having to go to another dashboard. Our final step is to review the results. We have two reports in here. The first shows us the low inflation rates, the normal budget, and the high inflation rate scenario all on one page. is even set up so we can see the value of the inflation rate differences in each scenario. And we've got these variance calculation columns to the right for easy reference. Second, we've got a report showing the scenarios in full month-by-month detail, so a user can check that easily if they need to. So, we're done setting up our next budget draft and the scenarios showing the effects different inflation rates would have on it. Now those are all in the system, we can create whatever reports and dashboards to display that data in ways we find useful. Here's a quick example of what that could look like, with a chart showing the range of effect our inflation rate predictions would have, or even a waterfall breaking down the difference between our projected budget and last year's actuals. We can even drill into these charts for detail, say in operating expenses. So that wraps up our demo. I hope you now have an idea of how you can use Apliqo UX to harness uncertainty and navigate inflation rate impact scenarios with confidence. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And for more information, you can contact us via our website, cubewise.com. Thank you for watching.